This is the Go Long cross country hang gliding event hosted by Cowboy Up Hang Gliding near Houston in Texas, and today is my second day here. After a 100-mile flight yesterday that was voluntarily cut short due to fatigue, I want to fly longer today. We have been towing earlier than we did the same event last year because the conditions are drier, so the ground heats up earlier, and the air feels active but nothing scary or unusual. I get dropped off at 3,000 feet east of the airport, and I drift further east looking for the first climb, ending up over the town of Wharton, where I'm staying for the week. The winding Colorado River flowing by the towns in the central plains of Texas paints a pretty picture. I'm really enjoying this scenery, even if it's flat, because it's so different from the hills and mountains I'm used to back home in California. At Wharton, the climb takes me over 5,000 feet, nearly to cloud base, which reminds me how different the conditions are this year. Last year, cloud bases were about 1,500 feet lower, and the climbs were weaker too. The other glider I've been flying with is my friend Tavo on his T3, but we are not on radio contact, so we lose each other eventually. After drifting in a few weak climbs for an hour, I am about 35 miles from takeoff at the town of Sealy. The major highway going through the town is the Interstate 10, the fourth longest in the country at almost 2,500 miles long, connecting California to Florida. After arriving low at 3,000 feet at Sealy, I am glad to get a good climb to 6,500 feet, and it's time to go for a fast glide. I can already see and recognize the next town of Belleville, since I've flown this area a few times. Following Highway 36 north, I find a lot of sink for a while and get to Belleville at 3,500. As usual, the lift coming from the town forms a solid thermal that takes me to 8,000 feet. Getting into the wispy cloud bottom is magical. It is a feeling nothing else can compare to. I drift in lifty air to the next town of Brenham, crossing 60 miles in 3 hours. Flying past Brenham, I lose 4,000 feet in 10 minutes at a glide ratio of 8 to 1. I get down to 2,500, the lowest so far, but my patience is rewarded with a strong climb that puts me back at 8,000 feet in 15 minutes. The large Lake Somerville to my west adds to the beauty of the landscape. The terrain in that direction is hilly and forested, so I stay further east. The next glide is again long and sinky, which makes me think I may be cutting across cloud streets. Or maybe the streets are not well formed here. From the high altitude, it's really hard to tell what the next cloud in my street is. Now it's been about 4 hours and 85 miles. I am down to 2,500 again, near the town of Snook, and only hitting small bumps. So I focus and look around for vultures or flying debris and corn husks. As I scratch, I notice the dark clouds to the northeast. I drift north with bubbles of lift which take me to the edge of the cloud-shaded area. I notice the clouds deeper east are overdeveloped and forming a dark overcast over the city of College Station. This is a major city known for being the home of Texas A&M University. Along with the adjacent town of Bryan, the metropolitan area has a population of almost 300,000. There is restricted airspace all over the city, but it caps at 2,500. The old airstrips below were formerly the Bryan Air Force Base, but now it is part of the university campus. I have now passed 100 miles from takeoff, and my set goal of Hearn Airport is only a 14 to 1 glide about 15 miles away. I start noticing several dust devils blowing in the fields below, which concerns me. Looking more carefully, they're all blowing towards the northwest, Suddenly, I realize that the wind speed has picked up to 20 miles an hour from the southeast, and I may be in a gust front, which could be coming from the overdevelopment to the east. Not sure what to do, I push on towards my goal of Hearn. Before I can convince myself to go directly downwind, I'm down to 3,000 feet and running out of options, so I start looking for a very large field to land to avoid any rotaring wind. I see a paved farm road east of the rail yard below me, and I think I can make it. I'm still not past the rail lines and getting poor penetration upwind, so I pull full VG and speed and get a nearly vertical descent flying 35 miles an hour. Fortunately, there is some wind gradient, but the wind at ground level is still over 25 miles an hour, so I keep my hands firm on the base tube. Luckily, there isn't much turbulence and I have a safe touchdown, though packing the glider in this much wind will not be fun. I'm very happy with flying my personal best distance of 110 miles in this flight.